So thank you, Arjava. It's so nice to see you. I actually have been in a workshop with you and Patrick Ziegler several years ago, and I'm really, really so blessed to have you here because I've read lots and lots of your books. And so I want to thank you on behalf of Reiki Australia and on behalf of myself for joining us here today for our interviews with the masters. And what I'd like to do is just introduce you to all our viewers. And Frank Arjava Petter is a spiritual teacher and historian. He's contributed to the history and practice of Reiki and has written 9 books so far. And he also writes poetry and short stories. He lived in Japan for 12 years and is now the vice president of Jikiden Reiki Institute. And so Arjava now lives in Greece with his wife and 2 children, and he teaches worldwide. He teaches all over the place. And what I love about your work, Arjava, is you live Reiki from the heart. And it's obvious when I see the works that when I hear your words, it's obvious that you've been through an enlightenment, because I've been in that place in the light myself. And when you're in that place, we are all one. Everything is so connected, but that's how you live your life through your Reiki. So even just listening to you and watching you on YouTube, you can feel your joy coming through. And that is, that's just so magical. So Arjava, can you tell us a little bit about you? Because I'd like people to get to know the real Arjava Petter.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for your kind words. It's really, there's only one way to deal with Reiki, and that's to live it, and to live it in your daily life, when you're shopping, when you're in town, when you're at home with your family. If your Reiki practice is happening entirely in your treatment room, that's really not what it's all about. That's not enough. Right? It must be there 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
This is what I've been working on now. Maybe to tell something about myself, the easiest way is I'll share an anecdote, something that happened to me when I was 21 or something. I decided that I will make my life beautiful. So beautiful that my spiritual teacher Osho could walk into it anytime and I wouldn't have to feel shy. So that's really my practice, my spiritual practice. And then Osho as a person is not really the person, but an image of the divine also. If the divine could watch me living my personal life, I wouldn't feel shy. That is my intention. Wonderful. So I've got plenty of work to do.
Definitely, we've all got plenty. We're all a work of art in progress, aren't we? And I don't really, yeah, I don't think there are any mistakes. I think everything's a stepping stone to the next part of our journey of the soul. And what I also find is when we've got our own turmoil, things that we've got to work on, we tend to find something that works for us personally, and then all we want to do is share it with the world. And
that's it. When you, let's say, a poet has written a poem or a love song or something like that, why does he sing it? He sings it because, or why does he publish it? He does because he wants to share the transcendence of
his
what
light.
He has experienced, his light, his love, his kindness, his all the good things. He wants to share that with others, and that's precisely what Usui Sensei himself must have thought about, that after his enlightenment on Mount Kulama, to transport his enlightenment to others, and the result of that is the Reiki as we know it. Yeah, wonderful.
And look, often I'll have clients come in and say, I don't know what I want to do in this next part of my life. and what is my purpose? And sometimes if anybody ever goes back into a past life, and I don't deliberately take them there, but I will then say, we're moving to the end of this life so that you can get some soul knowledge. And they suddenly know what their purpose is. But what they then realize is not about anything they do. It's about expressing all of who they are through everything that they do. And so I guess that's the purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, there's two ways of looking at the success of your life mission. And one, the most common way of looking at it is by your achievements. Yeah, so you said, I have written many books. It doesn't mean anything to me, nothing at all. Or if I have made a lot of money, or I've done this, or I've done that, it has no meaning, because we come empty-handed and we go empty-handed. So that doesn't remain. What does make a difference is the love that is in your heart. That's your treasure. And nobody can take that away from you, because it's not yours.
To give. I think about things like your books. It's like somebody has a candle and they light somebody else's candle. And every time somebody reads a book that touches them, it lights that candle within them, and then they get a chance to share it with others. So you said, don't send me any questions. I want to be surprised. And I was going to say, I should have asked you to pull up one of your poems, because I would really like to hear one of your poems, because I believe they're going to have the same impact as Rumi's poetry in really connecting to the heart, to the soul.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say. I can take a look, of course, if I find something in the computer now, but maybe we can do a separate recording.
Sounds wonderful. That would be wonderful. Excellent.
We could even do it later today.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Okay, now your parents were Polish, and as you were growing up, you had to experience natural healing. So I'm always looking at people's roots, what it is that lays the foundation for the journey that they're going to then grab hold of and move forward through their life. And so your spiritual journey began when you were reasonably young too, when you went to the ashram and you worked and worked for and with Osho. So would you like to share some of that experience with us?
Okay. So my parents they were not Polish, they were German.
But okay.
The part of Germany that they grew up in was later given to Poland.
I knew there was a link there somewhere.
Yeah, when the Russians took part of Poland and gave them part of Germany. So this was the idea. Now the place where my parents are from are actually in Poland. So, and when I grew up, my parents used to take us to homeopathic doctors. We also went to Western medical practitioners, but basically we treated everything with homeopathy. So from a young age, I was used to healing. And I remember when I was about 15 or 16, I was discussing something with one of my female friends at the time. And I said to her, oh man, wouldn't it be nice if you could heal with your hands? I still remember that.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, this became something that I do every day, full time. Very strange. So I remember this. I remember going to an iridologist when I was very small. So for me, natural healing is nothing strange at all. So I grew up with this. And then when I was about 16, I wanted to become a Zen monk and move to Japan and never come back. That was my secret dream.
When all the other 16-year-olds are out drinking.
Yeah, But it didn't work out like that, of course, it never does. So instead of going to Japan, I ended up in India with Osho, who many people think was the exact opposite of a Zen master, but he wasn't really. He was, in a way, he was very disciplined.
Mm.
This is where I learned discipline, to discipline myself. And that's where I be quiet and calm and loving. So instead of going to university, I spent 6 years living in his communities, and that really changed my life to what I am today.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic, fantastic experience for me. I was very young at the time. I was 18.
That is amazing for somebody that age to have that wisdom to go searching, really, isn't it?
Yeah, the amazing thing is that when you're young, you haven't had so much time to accumulate a lot of suffering.
That's
And
right.
I didn't really need therapy or anything. Yeah, I was always wondering, why the people are suffering? I'm having a good time.
Fair enough.
It was sweet. I was innocent.
Yeah.
And I spent those 6 years with him growing his Osho's food, and for a while I was one of his bodyguards. Was very funny because I have no martial arts training
That was the
whatsoever.
next question. Oh, have you done martial arts training?
I was sitting in front of his room, and his presence was so overpowering that it was like you were on some hallucinogenic drug. Yeah? And I don't think you could have even gotten up if somebody would have attacked him or me. Yeah? So we were so spaced out, and I was always wondering who is protecting whom.
So I'm not sure, and this has just come to my mind. I don't know whether you've read about the work of David Hawkins and vibrational frequency of emotions and the scale of consciousness. But basically what they say is when we can maintain that vibration of love or above, which is on 500 out of 1,000, we can have an impact on up to 750,000 people basically by being in their energy field. And I notice a lot of gurus do have that and that feel, that energy. So they'll walk into a room, even though people may not know they're there, they will feel their presence. And that's probably what you were being bathed in day after day.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't know that. I don't know the work of this. What was his name, Mr. Hawkins?
David
I've never heard.
Hawkins.
Haven't heard of that, but I would have a different, maybe slightly different experience. Like we are made of not only a physical body, but we have
The auras, yeah, the layers.
aura, the
Yeah.
auric levels, the etheric body, the astral body, the mind body, the consciousness body, and so on. And
Yeah.
somebody.
And I think that's really what he refers to, the expansiveness of the aura. Because I know, like in my workshops, I teach people to feel the energy in their hands, and I can get from one end of a basketball stadium to the next with my eyes closed and feel where people are. And I mean, we can all do that, but we just don't know we can do that. But if you come back into that state of peace, it expands. If you're in fear or anxiety, it shrinks back down like a little suit of armor, doesn't it?
So the fifth body, the consciousness of bliss body, this is where the individual and the cosmic begin to melt and merge. And if you act from this place, then you are everywhere. And when you're everywhere, you're blissful, you're joyful. And this is, of course, this is what people feel, that expansion, that because it also opens their heart when they feel.
Yes.
So I think it's something like that. I didn't know there's a scientific.
And so, did you train in the Western style of Reiki first, or did you train in Japan? I know you had your Japanese wife, and I know you went over from your books searching for the roots of Reiki, but did you first train, who did you train with in the Western style?
So it was like this. The first time I received a Reiki treatment was in 1988. I was in India at the Osho Ashram again.
Okay.
I had a terrible headache, and a friend of my then girlfriend was practicing Reiki. She gave me a treatment. I thought it was the most boring thing I'd ever experienced in my life, and it didn't work. So she tried to help me. She didn't touch me. She was working in the aura somehow, doing something. And I thought, what a nonsense is this? So in my mind, I ticked off Reiki. I thought, oh, okay, this is not something that we need to pursue any further. I went to the local drugstore, got some painkillers, and felt good. So, but the strange thing was that in the months following that episode, I started to look for somebody to teach me Reiki. And being at the ashram, it was easy to find somebody who was practicing it, but somehow our schedule never met. I couldn't organize it. And then I forgot about it for about 3 years. And in 1991, my brother called me. I was living in Japan already with my wife. We got together in the 88, and this was 91, so 3 years later. And he said, I teach Reiki, and I really want to teach you because I have the feeling that this would be something useful to you, and why don't you come to Berlin and learn Reiki from me? So I thought, hey, oh yeah, Reiki, right. I always wanted to learn it. I didn't know that my brother was teaching it. So I flew from Japan to Berlin, to Germany, to learn Reiki, and I was sitting on the plane thinking, how strange is that a German living in Japan goes to Germany to learn a Japanese healing art, and to bring that back to Japan. It was like a joke. A bizarre situation. So I went, I learned it, I liked the feel of it, but knowing Japanese culture well already by that time, it just didn't sit right with me. I thought something is wrong. What I had learned is too much new age, too logical.
Yeah.
And the history part, I thought this sounds all like fairy.
Something's not right.
Something's not right. I can't believe this. So not because I wanted to become rich and famous and superstar, but because of my doubt, I started to research, because in my heart, something was saying, no, something is wrong. You got to take a look at where this really comes from. Then when in Japan, I started to ask all the people I knew, have you ever heard about Reiki? They said, oh yeah, this American thing. And I'm like,
oh, isn't that interesting?
oh yeah. And then my first student was my former wife. I taught her, and she said, look, this is too logical. We don't think this way. I think this has been made by a foreign person. This system has been created by a foreign person. This is not Japanese, not at all. And then we started to research, and by accident met somebody from the original society that Usui Sensei created, from the Usui Reiki Ryoho. And from there, things started to move. And at the time, we were running a language school, so I really had no interest of teaching Reiki. I just wanted to do it for myself. And but then friends came and said, hey, I heard you you did a Reiki training. Can you teach us? That's how it started. It wasn't
Okay.
planned.
And were you then teaching Western style Reiki in Japan?
I was teaching Western style Reiki in Japan, and then I published my first book, which was really
Reiki
a
Fire?
surprise. The Reiki Fire was really a surprise. I wanted to publish it in Japan, but then a German publisher was interested in it. They said, we would love to publish it. And I'm like,
Okay.
but there are already 2 or 3 books on Reiki. Why publish another one? No, we really want this. Your information is so different. They published it, and then people started inviting me to teach all over the place. Now, the book came out in 97, and in 98, the first time I came to Australia was my first foreign visit with Reiki.
I learned in 1998 as well. So I learned at Byron Bay. I started my journey.
So then I started to travel extensively, and traveling extensively, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to start like an import-export business? I always like to find beautiful things and bring them to another place and sell them there. I've been doing well with this, selling jewelry, and for a while I was selling silk
Oh,
things and
wow.
all beautiful items, and because I love beauty. So years later, I realized that in the end, what I did was bringing the Western Reiki from the West to Japan, and turned out I was the only teacher teaching teachers in the country at the time.
I can imagine, yeah.
And then later on, taking the traditional teaching and bringing it to the West. So I did my import export.
It's kind of things all over the place.
Funny. So after I taught for already 7 years, I met my teacher, Chiyoko Yamaguchi, in Kyoto. And when I met her, I realized that now I found what I've been looking for. This is real Japanese, simple Japanese spirituality. And because of my background, because having lived there for so long, it suited me very well.
It
So
resonated, didn't it?
it resonated. So I stopped teaching the Western style Reiki, and I embraced the Japanese traditional teaching. But before we continue with this, I just want to make sure that you guys who are watching us or listening to us understand that whatever Reiki comes out of your hands, yeah,
It all works.
it doesn't have a label. Yeah? And if somebody tells you that my Reiki is better or bigger than yours, disqualified right here, yeah, because the word Reiki means soul or spirit or cosmic energy, and that is only one.
Nobody
There's
owns that, do they? Nobody owns that.
no, and nobody can improve upon that either. How do you think you will improve on soul energy? How are you going to do it? Who are you? And what would be the purpose of improving that? The soul energy is the energy of the universe. The universe pulsates with this incredibly delicious energy. And this is what Reiki is. There's no need to make it better. It's already perfect as it is.
So that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you as one of our guests. And the thing is, on our Facebook page, we've got over 7,000 people that kind of tune in from time to time there. But some people can be really judgmental. And the lineage part, particularly, I'm the chair of Reiki Australia, but one of the criteria is people have to have that lineage back to Usui, which is right. But often people close their minds and think, you know, mine's better than yours. It's like religion. They make a choice of and a judgment. And what I wanted to do was invite people just like you to share some other insights about different aspects of this beautiful universal life force energy that flows from heaven and the earth and through every living thing, so people can understand probably what would you say was the greatest difference between the Japanese style Jikiden Reiki and the Western Usui Reiki Ryoho style of Reiki?
So I would say the biggest difference is really the lack of New Age thought in the traditional teaching. It's just simply Japanese spirituality, and
Hands.
Japanese spirituality doesn't include chakras, doesn't
That was one of
include
my questions, because I know in the New Age style, people are using crystals and they're talking about chakras and all the rest of it. The chakras are Indian, and so are the auras, and so I know that people think you have to have, like, if you have more crystals, you'll have more power. But what they don't realize is that that's just it's training wheels like a bike to give people confidence. But the true power comes through us. It's not even ours. It comes through us. And we don't need anything other than those hands and our intention, really, to send love.
Absolutely. So Usui Sensei did use crystals, quartz crystals, we know
Okay.
that, for healing. So he gave them to people or to clients who were living in other parts of the country who couldn't come to him on a
Okay.
regular basis. So he was
Charging them.
charging them and giving them to people. He did that. We know that. But
Yeah,
all
I
the
thought
other
he
things,
did use them, but yeah, probably not like we do in our Western world.
no. And they were healing tools, yeah?
Yes.
Like extended hands, let's say. Yeah, his extended hands. And then a lot of the techniques, the Western Reiki techniques, are centered around getting something.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exchange of
having some
energy, as they say.
having some kind of advantage in a
Yeah,
situation. You put Reiki on your bank account or to get a job or something like that. And Reiki is not for that. Reiki is for the improvement of body, heart, and mind, and that's it.
definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Basically, in the end, it means Reiki is your path to self-realization, and that's the point. We're not trying to get something or reach somewhere or have some kind of advantage. It's not a business transaction. This is all about you, about how you live your life, how you are, and how you are with yourself.
Look,
And
I
that's
know
it.
exactly what you're talking about. When I did training with one teacher, I went for a walk with her out on her property the first day I arrived. And she said, the reason I'm doing this workshop is because I want to get the money so I can get my car out of the service station so I can leave my husband next week. And I was just heartbroken. I thought, what the heck am I doing here? This is not congruent with who I am or why I'm here. And I later got to a point where I was able to look back and say, I've got to let go of that judgment, because this is a pathway that got me to where I am now. And I just feel like I've got a black belt in Taekwondo, but I feel like when a person becomes a Reiki master, it's like you've got your black belt, which really means proficient in the basics, and that's it. And from there, your spiritual journey grows. But not everybody even knows that there is that journey, especially in our Western world. They just think of it, it's a new business. It's new something else I'm going to do to earn money. And they've missed the boat. They've missed the point.
Yeah, it's not about that. So Reiki really, Usui Sensei had a term for that. He called Reiki not only Reiki, but he called it Shin Shin Kaizen Usui Reiki Ryoho. And that means for the improvement of body, heart, and mind, the Usui Reiki healing method.
Definitely.
If you're ever in doubt whether something is in accordance with Reiki, Just remember that shall be your measure. Then you know, okay,
Yes.
this is something that we can work on and other things are not. Yeah, so it's for that. I'm not saying that it doesn't work in other areas of life. Of course it works. Yeah? If you focus on getting more and more money, more money, more money, more money, more business, more students, more, of course you're going to get it if you focus on that, but you're just missing the point.
Miss the boat. Yep.
You're wasting your time.
Yes. Yeah.
The real thing is here, right
exactly.
here. And this is what we want to discover. We don't want to discover all the things that are outside.
Very
and
true.
on the other hand, of course, there's nothing wrong with making money and being wealthy and all that. It's beautiful, yeah. It's okay, but that's really not the point.
That's not the focus, no. So, can you speak about the 5 precepts or the Gokai? Would you like to speak about those for us?
Okay, so
because they're the essence, really.
The principles are really the essence of Reiki and are the main teaching. Usui Sensei didn't leave much of a written legacy. The only thing I can think of are the principles, which we found in different versions, but all with the same words, written by different people, but all the same words. And then he left an interview that he conducted with his successor, Ushida Sensei, which I published in a couple of my books. I think best translation is in This is Reiki. So the Gokai, or 5 principles, they start with like a pre-word that says Shofuku no Hiho Mambyo no Reiyaku, which means the secret art of happiness.
Inviting happiness.
Like really, Japanese is cryptic, because made of Chinese characters, so it's images. So really, it says the secret art of happiness, but it means inviting that happiness into your life, bringing it into your life. And the spiritual medicine for all ailments obviously are those of the body and heart and mind. So this is Usui Sensei's declaration that if you practice this, you're going to find both happiness and the
health.
Spiritual medicine for all kind of ailments. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get sick anymore. Sickness is a natural occurrence. The body does go through cycles of health and sickness, but it means that you're going to learn to deal with this appropriately when you're not well. You learn to treat yourself, you learn to take it easy, you learn to pull the blanket over your head and rest when you're not well. You learn to receive when you're not well from others. And you learn also the secret that life is not permanent. Sooner or later you're gonna have to leave, you're gonna have to die. So all these things you learn from that. Then the headline, let's say, of the 5 principles are Kyo dake wa. And Kyo dake wa means today. Dake means only, and wa doesn't really mean anything. It's like it means something like do the following. Huh?
Okay.
So only today, do this. And that's a beautiful, beautiful way that Usui Sensei has thought this through very, very carefully. Because if he would have said from today on, don't be angry, don't worry, already here we give up, because we know we can't promise this, we can't do this.
It's a journey.
But he said, Kyo dake wa, today only, and the Japanese word kyo, it can also be read as ima, and ima means now. So he's bringing our attention to the present moment, to the now. Say, now don't be angry. Now don't worry. And in the now I can do
In
it.
each moment. Mm.
Yeah, in each moment I can do it. I can manage not to be angry now as I'm talking to you. This
Thank
I
you.
know. And I can promise that, and from that I can go into the next moment and the one that follows that, and that way I stay in the now and I stay present and I stay not angry and not worried. Wonderful. So the first one is don't be angry. The second one, don't worry. The third one, be grateful.
Grateful.
And this has often been badly translated. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of the Japanese Reiki practice has been taught by people who don't speak or understand Japanese and don't know anything about Japanese culture.
Mm.
And the principles have been translated by people who don't speak Japanese, and that's really not a good thing.
No.
So the principles say, wherever you read them, they say the same thing. They say, kanshashite is the third principle, be grateful. And gratitude here is not for something. It's not a business transaction. Okay,
Yes.
Carol is giving me $100, so I'm grateful. But I'm grateful just for gratitude's sake. I nourish this atmosphere of gratitude in my heart and in my presence. And that's a beautiful thing, because when there is gratitude in your heart, anger and worry don't have a chance. They can't. You think of it like light. When you go to the basement, you turn the light on. You don't have to battle with darkness. You don't have to do therapy. You don't have to bring your therapist. Nothing against therapy.
That'd be me.
Therapist. But you don't need it in your basement. You just turn the light on. And when the light is on, all the other stuff, all the dark stuff disappears. You don't have to get your broom and shoo, 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 there's another lid. Yep.
I always say, wherever there is light, there can be no darkness. And it's so true.
They can't exist together. So instead of fighting with yourself, really, because when you're fighting with yourself, who's going to win? How? There's no way. You cannot. So instead of fighting with your anger and with your worries, you just fill your heart with gratitude or with love or with kindness, same thing. And the anger and worry will just disappear. Poof.
So
Gone.
true.
Never have to worry about that. You don't have to repress anything, and you don't need any techniques or anything. That's it. Turn the light on. You have that switch in your hand. Turn it
So
on.
true.
And
And incidentally, on that scale of consciousness with vibrational frequency, gratitude is even greater. It's higher up than love, which is pretty interesting.
This is pure medicine.
Yes.
The gratitude, but the important thing is it's not gratitude for something. Like when I wanted to say when I was a kid, but I meant when I was learning Reiki originally, we had learned that be grateful for your many blessings or for. That's nice, but that's not what it's all about. It's just be grateful. Finished. No
Okay.
conditions. We cannot afford to put conditions on our gratitude, because then always those conditions must be met first before we can be grateful. That's not useful for us. What is useful
So
is
I'm actually thinking I'm going to change my manuals and take out count your many blessings and change it to straight old be grateful.
be grateful. That's it. Yeah. So that really tells you have that button in your hand. Turn it on. Turn the gratitude on, and your life is blissful.
Very true. Very true.
Then the next one, number 4 principle is Gyo o Hageme. And Gyo, when I first read that on Usui Sensei's memorial, because this is where I first found the principles in Japanese. Until
In that
then,
huge, big memorial.
yeah, until then, we had only seen that in translation in other people's Reiki books and manuals. So when I saw that, I thought Gyo means work. Yeah? So I translated it in the Reiki Fire with work hard. And I thought it can't mean work hard in terms of work 18 hours per day or something, but it must mean work hard on yourself.
Your spiritual journey, on yourself. Do the best you can with everything you've got, really.
That was my impression. Then when I met Chiyoko Sensei, I wanted to know from her because she was a student of Hayashi Sensei.
Yes.
She grew up in a Reiki household because her uncle with whom she grew up was Hayashi Sensei's organizer. So from when she was 7 years old, Reiki was in her life all the time.
Yes.
So I asked her, how do you see it? And she said, Gyo, it does mean work, but it also means duty. And the Japanese way of looking at duty is not like the German or perhaps the Australian way, where you think of duty as something that other people make you do, even though you don't want to do. Like, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, the garbage truck is coming, it's 15 degrees below zero, and I don't want to go, but I have to. It's not like that.
No.
Yeah? But the Japanese, I don't want to say believe in reincarnation. For Japanese people, it's just a fact.
I'm with you. Yeah.
You will never argue that. Yeah? That's how it is. Yeah? So we come again and again and again and again. And before we come, we choose our parents.
Look, I've had clients tell me the same thing when I say, what is the purpose of these parents that you're going to be born into? And who chooses? Do you choose? Is it allotted or is it a joint decision? 80% say, I choose. I choose my purpose, my lessons, my obstacles, my family.
So the soul, they
or the
believe,
soul.
the soul or the essence, it knows where in the evolutionary cycle it is, and it knows what it needs to learn in the next round. So
and what obstacles it needs to overcome so it can learn.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but because our lifetime is not long enough so we can organize all of that ourselves, we need allies. And the greatest allies are the parents who can help us learn certain things. So if you need to learn how to be wealthy, you are born into a wealthy family. If you need to learn to deal with poverty, you grow up in a poor place. If you need violence, even there, you will get that. You organize.
Yeah, I think if people need to learn forgiveness, they'll grow up in a family where they're hurt, they're abused or whatever. And so the greatest gift is that they can forgive those people that hurt them the most. And that's generally our closest family. Those first 7 years set us up, don't they? But it's a gift. Everything's a gift.
Yeah. So it puts you in the driver's seat, this kind of philosophy. You're not a victim, but you are in the driver's seat and you can change things. You can
so that everything can serve us.
Absolutely. So but not only do you choose your parents, but you also choose the basic
outline
of this life. Kind of like, when you want to play football, you can't play all over the world. You're going to need to have some kind of field in which you can play. Yeah? So you create that. And in that field, you can kind of move freely, yeah, in that area that you have.
Yes.
And therefore, from a Japanese point of view, everything that is in front of you is your duty, is your gyo. Yeah, this gyo hageme. everything that is happening. Like right now, our Gyo, Carol, is to be together, to talk together, to give ourselves as fully as we can. Then maybe you get up and you do a hypnotherapy session. Then your Gyo, your duty is to take care of your client.
Yes.
Maybe I go to the garden and tend to my olive trees here in Greece.
We've got an olive tree too. We're in town, but we've got vegetables and fruit trees and olive trees, and we're raising a 6-year-old grandchild as well. So there's a lot of duty there, I can tell you. And
lot of duty,
she's had trauma, so I have to go to bed with her every night, and I sneak out. And if she wakes up, she says, "No distractions."
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
yeah, she's just such a beautiful child.
Everything that's in front of you that life offers you.
Exactly.
Because really it is. It's an offering from life, whatever. Yes. Sunshine, rain, whatever. This is your Gyo, and you do the best you can. That doesn't mean that you must be perfect. There is no perfection.
So true.
Or imperfection is perfect. But you give everything that you can, and everything that you can is also limited, because sometimes you can give 100%, sometimes you can give 80%, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
But your intention is to give yourself as fully as you can.
In the moment, in each moment.
In the moment, yeah. And maybe you're preoccupied with something, then you cannot give as much as you could give at another time, but that's okay. Yeah? That's fine. So you have, first, don't be angry. Second, don't worry. Third, be grateful. And fourth, do your duty or act responsibly. Do the right thing. Be present. Give yourself as fully as you can in whatever you do.
And just be honorable. Yeah. Do what is right. Yeah.
And when all those four have become your attitude, your general attitude towards life, then the culmination of that is Hito ni Shinsetsu ni, be kind to others. Because then your issues are dealt with.
Yes.
And when your issues are dealt with, then you got to start sharing yourself with others.
Yeah.
And Reiki obviously is a really wonderful way of doing that. Hypnotherapy is, I also studied it, is wonderful.
I thought you had.
Shiatsu is, acupuncture is, Chinese medicine is, Ayurveda is, everything. These
so
are
many
all
things.
Fantastic achievements, fantastic things that we can use for facilitating healing.
Yeah. All about just to help as many people as we can while we're on this planet, really. I think that's the purpose, isn't it, really?
My other leg that I stand on is, I don't know if you know, I studied with the founder of the family constellations for many years.
Oh, I did. I've got that on my list to ask you about, and you've already answered some of the other questions. So tell us about the family constellations. Is that through hypnosis as well? Because I know a hypnotherapist in Sydney who does the family constellations, but she does it as part of her practice.
It fits well. Hypnotherapy and family constellations fit well, because Bert Hellinger, the founder of the constellation, he did some studying with Milton Erickson, the great.
Oh, wow.
Milton.
Okay.
So that's where that element
comes together.
And one of the things I learned from him was to do like short therapies just doing rounds in a group and then doing a short therapy sessions. That's really fun. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, mine are a bit longer because I'm doing things like bringing up the emotion they don't like and tracking back to find the first time they ever had it, and then we want to go before it and bring the good feeling through. So that's bringing their truth through. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that too in private. I don't advertise for it, but I do it, yeah? Or working with phobias or
Yep. You
things
can
like
clear
that.
them
I
pretty
think people,
quickly.
it's fantastic. Yeah? It's
And I
fantastic, but in the end,
can you
it's all the same, Carol. Yeah?
I
It's
agree.
all
I agree that everything just merges together. It's just different ways of expressing our Reiki, really, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah? So the Reiki, as I mentioned earlier, is and Usui Sensei said that in the interview. It's the energy that makes everything alive, yeah, that enlivens everything, and it's pulsing, vibrating all the time. And in the end, it's all about that.
Yes. So can you tell us about your life in Greece?
This is mostly in Greece. It's my private life. Yeah, so I live here with my family, with my wife, our two kids.
How old are your
The
children?
15 and 19.
Okay.
And our daughter is elder, our son is the younger. Our daughter is studying in the north of Greece, studying education. And the place you see behind me, this is not where I am. It's a
Yes.
virtual background. I'm in my living room at the moment, but this is a nice place. This
It's
is our
perfect
Reiki.
because it looks real, really.
It is real. It's our it's our Reiki training center, our dojo, which is just a little bit outside the village here in our olive grove. So this is where we grow organic olives. We also sell organic olive oil. And this is where I work. You can see I'm sitting there behind me, a small, where is it there? It's a
Yes. Ah, yes.
small me giving a treatment. So this is what we do here. We have a training center, and because we're living in a kind of summer resort place, this happens mostly during our summer, between June and September. We do groups here, and the rest of the year I travel. So what I do nowadays is I do my correspondence, I do some writing, I write poetry, I write inspirational stuff. I'm working on a couple of Reiki books also that
Wonderful.
hopefully will come out soon. And
So the last one I think I bought was Is.
okay, I just happen to have a copy here. It's there it is.
It just
Oops.
disappeared. Yes,
There is my head.
it is your head.
And so my typical day goes like this. I wake up in the morning, have a cup of tea, then a cup of coffee, then I do some work. And then at some point I go out into gardening. I love that. And I noticed that whenever somebody takes pictures of me in the garden, I'm always smiling. So
It's
I
that
really,
joy, that energy that
yeah,
comes through you.
in my element there. It's so beautiful. And now in May, in Greece, everything is flowering. There are lots of wildflowers
Beautiful.
everywhere. The birds are singing. The sea is warm enough to go for a swim. It's perfect time here. So in between workshops, I recuperate here
That's
and
wonderful. That's wonderful.
spend time mostly alone because usually when I'm working, I'm really 100% available to the students. And I love that. And I really rejoice in that. But also
You need
I
the balance.
need the balance. So when I go home, I'm very private. It's not that I'm antisocial. If I meet people here,
I just think you have to do that to
more.
fill up your own cup first. So
Yeah.
you can't give from an empty vessel. You've got to fill up your battery so that you've got more to give, I think.
So my advice for all of you guys watching this or listening to this is always make sure you take enough time for yourself to recharge your batteries, because otherwise you can't help anybody.
It's interesting with the fifth precept, be kind to others. I always think we must be kind to ourselves first, fill up, and then overflow, and then give everything once we've sort of made sure that we're not running on empty. And part of that is because there are lots, particularly women are trained to put everybody else first. And I've had breast cancer twice and bone cancer once, and I cured the bone cancer myself with Reiki, self-hypnosis, meditation, nutrition, all of that sort of stuff. And even the last breast cancer, I had a double mastectomy and reconstruction, and the only painkillers I had was Panadol, even though I was cut from one side to the other. And I saw everything as a holiday. I saw that as a holiday. And I ended up doing hypnosis on the psychology student, the psychiatry student, and got rid of his post-traumatic stress in 5 minutes from when he was a little boy in India. And every time he'd be naughty, his mother would tie him up and lock him in a wardrobe, and help the cleaning lady quit smoking. But every time I've had any challenges, I've always said, what is it my soul is trying to tell me? And all my lessons come back to learn to fill up your own cup first and then overflow. You've got to tune into not running on empty all the time. So I think that's a big one, particularly for women, when we're nurturing our children and being trained to be mothers and carers. And I was a nurse before I got on to, and then we had fitness centers for 20 years as well. So I've done a lot of different things, and I was in a band for 15 years as well. But everything's a stepping stone. You never waste anything, and everything is the gift. And when you learn how to heal yourself, then you've got that gift that you can share with others to help them heal as well. So I've never seen any obstacle as an obstacle, but only an opportunity. So
yes, it's opportunity, and it's like our life is like sightseeing. Yeah? The challenges are sights, interesting sights you can discover and look at and climb. Yeah? It's
to
like
overcome.
that. Yeah,
I feel like this is the
potential.
matrix.
I see it the same way. Yeah?
Yeah.
So take enough time to recuperate, and the concept of self in Japanese culture doesn't really exist. Yeah?
Okay, that makes sense.
So because it comes from the Buddhist teaching, yeah, where everything exists but the self. There is no such thing. Yeah? It's all a mental construct, and when there is no self, there's also not much focus on me,
Yeah.
which is nice. And you see that in Japanese people, they're very considerate of others. But once you see that there is no self and no other, then it becomes your duty to take care of everything, and that everything includes you.
Very true.
Yeah, because
everything's
you
a
are
lesson.
also part of nature, and that nature needs to be taken care of. Yeah? So I need to take care of my wife, my kids, my neighbors, the people I meet outside, but I'm also one of those natural events that need the same love, the same care, the same kindness,
So true.
direct this way. Yeah? So it's not in an egoistic way at all, just out of humility. Yeah? You are the
So with the Jikiden, how many levels are there? Are there 3 or 6?
okay. So basically, we have kept to the original style, yeah, that Usui Sensei taught in. So it's divided in Shoden, this is the first level, Okuden is the second level, and then the next level is called Shimpiden.
Yes.
Which is the mystical teaching, and it's all about teaching other people how to initiate, how to give Reiju. And that part of the teaching level is divided into more parts. The first part is Shihankaku, which is assistant teacher. Then somebody who can teach only Reiki 1 for the time being.
Okay. Interesting.
Then the next part is Shihan, which is the senior teacher. Senior teacher can teach Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. Then Dai Shihan. Dai means big, but in this case it means the whole. So somebody who can teach Shihankaku, assistant teachers, and then the Kaicho, or which means president, or in Jikiden Reiki we don't use that word. Tadao Yamaguchi, Chiyoko Sensei's son, calls himself the Daihyo, which is representative of Jikiden Reiki, who is the only one who can teach teachers, full teachers. And because he realized a number of years ago that he can't go everywhere and he can't do everything himself, he asked me if I would be the vice representative who can do what he can do. So
that was my next question. What does your role involve, being the vice president? Yes.
So the two of us can teach Shihan, fully certified teachers, and that's only him and me worldwide. The school has now about 40,000 students, so it grew quite large.
That is amazing. Are they mostly Japanese or Westerners, or where?
It's about half. Maybe it's changing more towards foreigners. I think we are more foreigners now than Japanese. I'm not quite sure. It's about 50-50.
And you said you're going to Japan soon. Oh no, sorry, you're going to New Zealand.
Yeah, I was in Japan. I take groups of people to Japan every year, and usually at the end of March for the cherry blossom season. I'm going to New Zealand, I think when was it? In September, I think.
Yeah, I think you did mention that to me. And so you've already mentioned some of the other things that you've done. And you've also talked about some of the questions I've got here. Why did you begin to write these books? But you've already explained that one. I'll see what else I've got on my page. And what I'd like to do after we close here, I'm thinking if you're happy to do some of your poetry, we might put a pause on the recording and we could just maybe pop a poem at the end as well, if that works for you.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, because that way it'll still be all part of the same thing. So the next question I had is, what is your vision for Reiki in the future and for yourself?
So my vision for Reiki for the future is kind of simple. Huh? So what I would like to see is Reiki to be used at home, in families, with kids, and to grow up with the parents doing Reiki on the kids. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go visit a doctor. That's okay. But if I look back at the childhood of my children, we managed almost everything just with giving them Reiki. And that is so nice. And also makes the relationship to your kids nice. It reduces all the chemical waste because you don't need so many medicines, which half get thrown away anyway.
Very true.
That's my future vision, that Reiki belongs in the family as a complementary way of treatment, because all human beings have the natural ability to heal themselves, really, like all the other animals do too. The cats and dogs and lions, and every one of them knows how to do it, and so do we. So I wish that we can bring this inborn capability, this deep wisdom that we have to bring that back. That would
Yes.
be my wish. And of course, I would like to see Reiki happening in hospitals. In Brazil, for example, they have done an incredible job. They've included all the traditional healing arts in the medical field now.
That's
So
wonderful, isn't it? I
it's
think it'll be a
incredible.
bit longer. We've had lots of our members have tried, and like I've worked in hospitals as well with Reiki, but that's because the patient asked for me, not the hospital. And we've had quite a few people who have tried to get it in, but because there's no standardized practice, because the government regulations and all the rest of it, it has made it really difficult for us to be able to kind of push through. But
so
yeah,
that would be a good thing. I would appreciate that if that happens in more countries. And also it would be nice to do Reiki in old folks' homes, because our elderly, they don't get touched anymore.
that is so true, particularly with the COVID experience. That was really hard.
And then another good place to do Reiki would be hospice.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very
so
true.
that's my kind of vision, that for myself, I don't really look at it that way, because he is part of my life. I do it all the time, and I will continue doing it all the time. It's the most natural thing. So I don't really think about it. I just do it. So just do it.
I think
for yourself.
when you were saying about the children, I've raised a 21-year-old grandson as well. Like, we've got 3 children, and our 21-year-old grandson, he would come to the Reiki workshops with me when he was smaller, and he uses that still now. He's now at university doing counselling and social work, which is wonderful. And now we're raising our little 6-year-old granddaughter, and she is just such a joy and such a blessing. And the other day I noticed I kicked my foot, and she goes, "Come here, Grandma," and the hands go straight on. "Let me fix you. Let me heal you." So it's she just sees it as a natural thing to put those hands on. I don't even think she used the word heal, but she said, "Let me fix you." And
that's it. That's the right attitude. That's where we want it. And of course, I'd appreciate it if the governments would include, like in Brazil, the traditional healing arts into medical work, because basically I think one of the main sicknesses of modern humanity is that we always want to include this and exclude this, and say, I like this, I don't like that, this is better than that, and so this is our sickness, that we put things and also people into compartments. With COVID, it was the same. There we have the people who like the vaccines, then you have those who don't like the vaccines. One is put here, one is put there, and we don't realize that we're all sitting in the same boat.
Exactly.
We're all together. So it's no use compartmentalizing things and putting people in different camps. We are here together, and we must work together.
We are all one. Exactly. I remember I had lots of my hypnotherapist friends said, "Oh, we can't work." And I went, "Why not? Why can't you work? People need you." And they've said, "Oh, no, we're non-essential." And I said, "Well, I'm essential. I have people telling me they want to kill themselves, and I'm going to work with them." And then people would ring and say, "I'd really like an appointment, but I don't want to do it over Zoom." And I'll say, "Come on down." And they'll say, "But I haven't been vaccinated." And I'll say, "Are you sick?" And they'll go, "No." And I'll, "Well, what's the problem? If you're sick, use common sense, stay at home. And if you're not, come in." And, you know, it just really blew my mind, the way people treated people through that time and all the judgment. And we are all here together helping each other. we're all in it together. Our duty is to really just help as many people as we possibly can. And yeah, I just think I'm so glad that part of the COVID experience is gone, and I wonder what will be next. And you know what I'm talking about too, yes. But anyway, we just deal with what's in front of us just for today.
Exactly. That's the spirit. That's it. Yeah. So that's my kind of my future vision for Reiki. Very simple. Yeah? That it be where it belongs. Yeah? And really
Perfect.
it belongs into your and our and everyone's daily life. And this is our built-in ability to deal with pain, to deal with injury. What's the first thing you do when you hit your head? Yeah? You
Exactly.
put your hand on it. That's it. As simple
Very
as
true.
that. And I will do whatever I can to promote that.
Wonderful.
You know, in Jikiden Reiki, we don't do online teaching.
Oh, yeah.
Because the word Jikiden means traditional, really. Yeah? And I cannot do traditional Reiki, call myself traditional Reiki, and then do Reiki over the
I'm with you 100%.
room on
Yeah.
the internet. So I'm not saying that it doesn't work. Yeah? I'm not making that judgment here, but I love people.
Me too. And you know
And
what? I have had people ask me, I mean, with Reiki Australia, again, all our members have to be attuned in person, but every now and again you'll see a question come up on one of those pages, and I've just have to say it's hands-on healing, and the human touch is so important, and but without judging, to really know that people will find their own path to their spirituality. And sometimes that can be a stepping stone to get them moving in this direction. But most often, I've had students that have done online training, but then they've come to me for hands-on training, for proper training. So I try not to be judgmental, just as you do, but I couldn't possibly do it that way. I can't do that. It just doesn't feel like it's authentic to me.
yeah, so for me, this is my personal choice. Yeah? And
Yes.
I'm very I don't know, strict, no, is maybe not the right word, but very clear about what I am prepared to do and what I'm not prepared to do. And I will follow that.
Yes.
And if there is nothing to eat, I won't eat.
I'm with you. I understand totally.
That's
It's your
how I
moral
am.
code. It's yeah.
My moral code, and I'm not going to jeopardize that in any way. So I do what sits right with me. And in terms of teaching, we don't do internet or virtual teaching because we think that Reiki is touching people.
Yeah,
And as you said, there's no
very
substitute.
true. No substitute.
And
Very true.
if I can't touch in the workshop and show people how to do it, then I don't teach. Then I stay home and grow vegetables. I'm okay with
And olives.
that. Yeah. But
Wonderful.
then every one of us must find what is right for them, what is good for them. So if somebody else feels comfortable teaching this or teaching that, who am I to say? I'm not the Reiki police. Who am I to say that you shouldn't do it? Yeah? But for
Yes.
me, I'm very clear as to what I like and what I don't like. People always ask about um, distant attunements. I would not say that they don't work because I don't know, but I wouldn't do it because I love doing it in person. It's so
True.
much fun.
It is.
And it's the last thing I will sacrifice. I won't. Yeah, so I prefer not to do it instead. Yeah? If
That's
I can't do
understandable.
it, I won't.
Very, very good. I respect your choice. Excellent.
Yeah.
So Java, are there any recommendations, any resources you think people should kind of look into? I think I'm going to suggest they look more at your online presence, because you've got such wonderful talks at your Reiki University, for example, with Walter, and there are lots of wonderful things there that can really inspire people to come back into their soul, their heart space. And also any other workshops you've got, if you share them with me, I'll share them with everybody. And hopefully we'll be able to kind of spread the word of Jikiden Reiki, because I don't really know anybody in Australia that does that. And I'm sure there might be people out there, but
there are some, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
We originally, the plan was to go to New Zealand and Australia both, but we couldn't manage it. So,
yeah.
But next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Maybe this will spark some interest.
That's what I was hoping, because yeah, my whole concept of doing these talks is just to open hearts and open minds, really, to new possibilities, and I think that's what we want to do. And so, do you have a message for our viewers? Your message to the world through this page?
The message is really simple. It's be yourself.
Perfect.
And whatever you do, always filter everything to the wisdom of your own heart and follow that and be happy. So I want to add something. You asked me what the biggest difference between the Western type Reiki and the Japanese is, and I said it's the lack of New Age thought in the practice. But in the practical aspect, the main difference is that we don't work with prescribed hand positions or time, but we work with what is called Byosen. Byosen is a really complex subject, and it's often misunderstood to mean scanning. It's nothing to do with scanning.
And it's the level, the tingling, the heat,
Byosen is really two things. One is the toxicity of the body of the client that you learn to evaluate with your hands. Yes. And the other thing is, Byosen really is the healing process of the client's body that you learn to watch, to monitor, and then work according to what the body tells you to do.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the main difference, and it's fantastic. It's really an incredible way of working. What we do all the time when we do treatments, 1 hour or 1.5 hours, what we do is we listen to the healing process of the body, and that's the most beautiful music you can listen to.
Very true.
So this is, practically speaking, the main difference, and I love teaching that because it's really a genius way of working, and that comes from Usui Sensei, who created that. It doesn't exist in any other healing modality that I know of.
So I think when I believed that Usui had probably only 3 main positions, but everything else was the 3 pillars, and really just trusting your intuition and your bias and your understanding. And quite often I will just get a knowing, this person's got cancer in this spot. You'll just know it. You don't even have to think about it. And probably that's what you do as well. And
we do it as well, because this is your experience, your life experience. You develop some kind of intuition about what is going on, but really it's not the way of working in Jikiden Reiki or in traditional Reiki is really not intuitive, but it's scientific.
Okay. So the levels of heat or vibration or pain that travels up through the arm and goes down.
Listen to the body, and then you know what is required, what the body needs, and how long it needs it. And you also know when it's done.
Yes. And
It's
so
a big,
in the Western style, the hand positions are really like training wheels from your bicycle, so that people get the confidence to start up. But
yeah, which makes sense because the way it was taught was workshop style. Yeah?
yes,
You would go somewhere and teach a class and maybe never see the student again. So it was good to give a prescribed way of working, but the original teaching style that Usui Sensei, Hayashi Sensei followed was that they had their dojo, their training center, like what you see behind me, and
yes.
the people would come there like to a martial arts school once a week or once every 2 weeks or so and practice together. And there was no need for a prescribed system because if you had any question, you could ask the teacher next week.
Mm,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's the ideal learning situation would be that.
So did the hand positions, I wasn't sure if it was Hayashi or Takata who came up with the hand positions.
I suppose Takata Sensei came up with it because in Hayashi Sensei's work there was no such thing. We know because we found
His
the
man,
original manual that he was giving to
yes.
his students.
Interesting.
So
This is so good to talk to you.
the real thing is to learn what the body needs because the body will tell you what it needs. Eh? You just have to listen.
So true. It's
Yeah,
connecting, isn't it? And part of that is the auras merging. So we're kind of on the layers and we can feel that
absolutely.
energetic shift.
And this is where the intuition comes in. Yeah? When you're so close to somebody, when you're working on somebody, your energy bodies mix. Yeah?
Merge.
And then
Yeah.
information flows freely from one to the other. And then you pick up things that you don't know.
I think the same happens with hypnosis. Sometimes I'll have a client there and I'll see a picture in my mind and then I'll say it and they'll go later, how did you know? That's what I was thinking. And then you said it. I'll go, well, yeah, I just know stuff. Yeah.
It comes with experience. Because of my family constellation background, sometimes I look at people and I read here if they have issues with their mom or with their dad. I can see it, but it's just practice. And in Reiki, we develop a similar intuition, a physical intuition. Maybe before they come in, you already know what's happening with them. But
Yeah.
it's not really a psychic thing.
Yeah. It's energy. Yeah. I mean, somebody can walk in and before they open their mouth, I go, this person's got bipolar. And it is, you just have a knowing. Yeah.
Yes.
Everything's energy, isn't it? Excellent. So would you like to go and get one of your poems? And I will put us on pause. And then when you come back, you could recite one of your beautiful poems.
Okay.
Okay, I'll put it on pause. And so welcome back. Arjava has just done a magical vanishing trick and just come back with his glasses on now. And he's now going to read one of his poems.
So I've been writing poetry for many years, and it started when in 98 and 99, I started to travel extensively, and I had to spend a lot of time on planes. So I thought, how can I be creative when I spend so much time on planes? I don't want to just read or just watch one movie after the other. So I thought I will train myself to write a text that I can finish on that particular flight. And the result of that is about 600 or 700 texts.
Wow.
Which during the COVID time, which was for me a blessing in disguise, I weaved into different projects. The first one, which is all about love, is, oops, how do we do this now? It's called
Oh,
Love,
speaks.
love
Beautiful.
speaks. And then this is all about love. It's kind of inspirational, Rumi-like poetry.
That's what I knew it was going to be like Rumi's poetry.
And then the next one, I thought, okay, now after love, what could be the next subject? And I thought, oh, perhaps pain. And the next one is this. Oops. Promise me never to get hurt. This is all about, of course, you cannot promise anyone not to get hurt. You will get hurt, but you can not get traumatized by your pain.
So true.
Retain your innocence. So this is all about that. And then the next book after that is called Night Walk.
Wow.
And this is all about what I do when I go out for a walk, the thoughts I have. And it's interesting. I will read one poem out of each book. So
wonderful.
The first one of the love poems, this I wrote for my wife. The first one I wrote for her, it's called My Companion. I have so many friends, but you are special. We have known each other since time began, day after day, and night after night, you are here with me. Your coolness soothes my heart, and the light that radiates from your being nourishes my restless soul. I cannot live without you. All day long, I feel your presence in my heart. I long for you in my dreams, and in that longing, I forget myself, only to remember again when I awaken. While dawn is parting the thick curtains of darkness, I lay awake gazing at you for hours. My hands reach out to you, but for fear to disturb your rest, I contain myself. I know that you understand. Sometimes your gracefulness is unbearable, and I wonder how it can be endured for one more moment. A sweet pain tears my heart into a million pieces, and I lose myself in your vastness. When I return, you are still next to me. I feel indebted to you for your love. I try and try again to give you something in return, only to hold your emptiness in my open hands, knowing that this is how I keep the gate of my heart closed for visitors. Tonight, I beg you for another chance.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So this poem, the poetry I write is never really what you think it is. So I wrote it for my wife just after I met her. But also it's about the moon, because I was sitting here in Greece. I was working at a meditation center here. I was sitting at the window and the moon was coming in and out through the clouds.
Yes.
So on one hand, the poem is about my longing for her, and also it's the moon coming in and out, and it's the longing of somebody for God or for the divine.
Oh God, yes, so spiritual love.
Three different levels at the same time.
And I think that's where Rumi's poetry is the same feel. It could be for a human or it could be for something so much more.
Yeah, you can see it on so many different levels. It's not only one. So now I will read one. Oh, this is long. About pain. It's called loss. I lost my years. They will never return to me. I would miss them only if they had been lived half-heartedly. I lost my sister before I was born. Looking for her in the unexpected, I know that she misses me too. I misplaced my keys. Certain doors will remain locked forever. Someone else may have the pleasure of opening them. I grew out of my clothes. What was once right became too short, too tight, too old-fashioned. Get dressed, move on. I flunked exams. Failure and success are the two sides of happiness. Together, both of them are able agents of progress. I displaced my clarity. Confusion taught me the movement of the seasons. Life is never linear. I sacrificed my freedom. On the altar of self-defeat, the phoenix rises from the ashes. Look around and be liberated.
Mm.
I lost my girlfriend when we were too young to go so far away. Remembering her, I cry. I broke my heart. Unforgivable. I promise never to do that again. Thank you for teaching me. I left school and stepped into my own light. Transforming duality, loss and gain emerge as enlightened action. I broke the law and will do it again when the time is right.
I get that.
Right.
That's your spirit, the rebel.
Live by your own rules and trust the wisdom of your heart. I changed my name, trying the impossible. I found my potential instead. Whatever is longed for is already here. I deserted from the army. Violence always leads to more violence. Peace cannot be forced, only experienced. I sold my belongings. That made it possible for me to experience so much joy and happiness in faraway places. I walked away from my country, but I am entirely hers. It's not that I miss her. I am her grateful child. I walked away from my culture. The comfort of the useful came along while boundaries were left behind respectfully. I walked away from my religion. The wisdom of others returned to the rightful owner. Christ remains. Amen. I broke my vows. Wanting and not wanting can be two different things, but in the end, it is all one. I abandoned my belief systems. A conditioned reflex comes out of the past by definition. Only in the present is one truly free. I lost my lovers. They entered my world for a while, then left. Without them, I would not be with the one I love. I forgot my work. The power of habit, drawn out of the inner toxicity of laziness, gave me the incentive to keep moving. I forgot my responsibilities. Unable to respond to what is in front of me, I remembered what is right. I lost my friends. Not many remained from then until now, but each one has left a mark in my heart. I shed my tears. They washed away the impurities of the past. The way of the heart is one of letting go. I displaced my love. The moon remains forever present in a cloudy sky. Welcome the mystery. I lost my business more than once. Something better came in its place. I lost my innocence. Violating my essence always brought me back to basics. I learned to cherish the simple things. I lost my brother, though he is still here. He just can't bear my presence while I long for his. I lost my teachers. Their fragrance lingers in the rivers and in the rocks, in the smile of a stranger. I see them everywhere. I lost my parents. They always took good care of me like only parents can. Every cell of my body is made of their love. I lost my community. She held me in her arms for so long until she forced me to stand on my own feet. I shed my hair. Sooner or later, I will go bald and hopefully wiser than I am now. It's time to wear a hat. Shattered my dream. Upon awakening, illusions fade into oblivion. Ah, this is it. I forgot my words, longing to express myself at times. Between two thoughts, a gap of delicious emptiness appears. I forgot my knowledge. Physics tells us that nothing is ever lost as we fly into the mystic. Open your wings. I lost myself. Only one who has left home and was lost can ever really return. It is good to be here.
Wonderful. So we lose everything, yet we are still standing. We are still here. Our essence remains. Do you know, when I had the bone cancer, I had a mystical experience where I went into the light and I was the light. And then I remember thinking, I can't die anyway. This is just my body. Even if this body dies, I'm going to be just fine. And that was when I had the knowing, it doesn't own me anymore. There's no fear. I'll get rid of this myself. So I think, what was that?
Where to go? Where to go?
Yeah.
Where can you go? Like friends or parents
right.
or all these people who have passed on, where can they go? And if I think of my parents now, they are right here.
So true.
Where to go?
So
We
true.
can't
So
escape.
there is no loss. There's no loss.
No.
Oh,
And
that
then
was
from
beautiful.
the
One more.
last book, the Night Walk, as I said, this is all about when I go out for a walk at night through the village.
And the stillness.
I have thoughts, maybe, and I write them down. This one actually was written in Athens, I remember.
Wow.
It's called Men in Ruins, Men in the Making. You see it all without a word. Men in ruins, men in the making. Past and future flash by in an instant, beckoning. The railroad runs along the ravine quite playfully, while the ancient tracks run in the opposite direction. One, created with the sweat of trial and error, celebrated, lived, and then disintegrated. The other, still upon arrival and waiting to be seen, touched, breathed, and then, who knows? The ruins speak to me softly. They look at my grandeur, then whisper, taste my failure, smell the fragrance of millennia, feel my longing, feel my darkness. Listen to my story, pass it on. You are my lips, my ears, my stomach. You are my fears and self-confidence, my aspiration and my resignation, my hands, my heart, my mouthpiece. I speak shyly as if to myself. We know that no one listens except for the madman. The world revolves around with the momentum of its own. It twists and turns. It learns and forgets, though at times it remembers and innovates. It laughs and cries out of season. We can be proud of the achievements of old, but what about tomorrow? I walk the village at night, my footsteps unheard, a ghost, walking through the common mirage of the millions. How was your trip? They ask upon my return. I look up and say nothing. It's impossible to squeeze a single word out of these few steps. Tonight, I was able to study myself through the eyes of marble and mystery.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing those little glimpses.
Yeah, that was the taste of what's going on in here.
In your mind, yeah, in your soul, really. It's the soul speaks, doesn't it?
Yeah, in my whatever we want to call it. So once you get into writing, or I suppose any art, it's just like you enter this new universe, and it's endless.
Vast expanse.
It's just incredible. The mind is incredible, and I'm really enjoying pouring.
I think that's your next incarnation.
Letting that pour through, letting it come
Yeah.
through me.
And
So
that's your
now,
Reiki flowing through you again, isn't it? It's your essence coming out on paper. And its
yeah,
purpose is to wake somebody up. When somebody hears that, they feel that. Wonderful. So thank you so much, Arjava, for being with us here today. I'm going to share your Facebook page, your website, and any of your, I thought Reiki Uni I might share as well as a link, but are there any others that you, because that was a fair time ago, wasn't it, that was done?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was years ago. I mean, yeah, you can share that.
So
I think I
anything else
will.
you recommend, you can send me a link and I'll make sure it goes up with the post that we share here. And we'll also share this in our YouTube channel as well. And I'll just make sure I've got all your links in there as well.
Thank you. The most important really is that everybody, you guys that are watching this, just do your Reiki. That's it. Forget about other people. Forget about me. Leave me alone.
Unless you're going to Greece.
Do your thing. Do your thing and find out what is good for you, what nourishes you, what helps you, what gives you more love, more kindness, more sharing, and you just do this. That's the case. And if my books or projects can help you with that, I'm very honored and very grateful. And
thank you so much. Chop wood, carry water, as they say, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you, Arjava. Whoa! And I'll carry the water on my head. Oh, no, I won't. Yes, I'll carry it on my head. Thank you.
Okay.
Such a blessing to speak with you tonight tonight. And let us stay in contact, because I value you, and I just think it's just such a blessing to be able to share you with the people in Australia as well, because not everybody knows who you are, but lots do. And let us just grow that little circle again. Namaste. Beautiful. Now I will just